G'day, legends, and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast, the Wednesday pot noodle. Hope you're all looking forward for having a bit of a laugh and beers a bit later on because it's going to be a fun time. But before that, we'll go around the room, and tonight I'm joined by Willie, Shane, and Johnny. How are you, Willie?
I'm doing pretty well. I've had a bit of an eventful day here in New Zealand. Mother Nature decided to throw a couple of earthquakes our way, which is a reasonable size one. So that was something a little bit different to sort of have your day go through. Other than that, we're doing pretty well.
And how are you, Shane?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jared. First things first. Shout out to Willie and those in listening in NZ. Stay safe, and I hope the worst of it's past.
They weren't bad. They weren't bad ones. Like they were reasonable size, but it's just Mother Nature at its finest. Like it's just like, oh wow.
Oh, it's definitely full on, mate. Well, stay safe, and same to everyone out in New Zealand. But no, pretty good, mate. It's we've just had the wrap up of the Melbourne International Comedy Festival here, so was able to get out and see a few shows. Saw David O'Doherty, saw Paul McDermott, who's been an idol of mine for a very long time, and then wrapped it up by going to see Dylan Moran as well, and he was loose and very, very funny, and that wrapped it up for me. So really enjoyable time.
Come on, Shane, you dropped the ball here. You've missed out on seeing Danny McGinley. He's one of us.
He had, I know, and it looked like a funny show as well, but he was on a Monday night, and it just wasn't going to work for me. But shout out to Danny. He's a big Celtic man. He's a big Victory man too, so he gets a good shout out from me.
Yeah, just for those tuning in, his show was basically about his what's it called, getting the snip. So.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? We'll give a shout out to the title. It was called Hard Nut.
Yeah, brilliant show. Anyway, and how are you, Johnny?
Yeah, not bad. I was on site today. It was a very wet day in Brisbane here, but I was it's just a little bit of a recommendation actually. I was trying to look for something to listen to, so I highly recommend listening to. And as unfortunately as it is, it's Sky Sports, but they did. Don't know if you guys saw this, but they did something called The Overlap, which was they got a load of Celtic fans and a load of Rangers fans on, and they just Adam McCoist and Chris Amber, which is a big talk. It was very good, very entertaining. So it got heated at points, I think, sort of in that sort of very controlled way. But yeah, it was good. Okay, give it a listen. It's worth it.
I have to check it out. Yeah, so just everyone tuning in, what I want to get you to do in the comments, can you let us know, have a bit of a think here. Okay, go back to the 90s, okay, and put your favourite Celtic player from the 90s in the comments section. Who's not, Danny McGrath or Bronx Day or any of those guys. Put some players in there, give them a shout out. I just want to see what the thought process is in the comments and see who everyone's putting in there. So we'll just do that for a bit of banter and a bit of laughter and stuff like that. And we'll crack on with the pod. So Shane, I'll throw to you. Celtic Motherwell won. What a difference 24 hours makes in football, hey? Like, you jump onto Twitter on Saturday and it's just toxic. It's disgusting. Facebook groups were the same deal. 24 hours later, after we dropped, we had a draw. We dropped 2 points. Then Aberdeen did their job and, Rangers dropped all 3 and puts us in another point closer to a title. It's like, okay, and breathe, exhale. That's what it seemed like to me. It was, it was an interesting time on there, but just give us your overall thoughts on the game and the follow-up off the back of that I've just touched on.
Yeah, look, it was, I think the word I'd probably sum up the result with was frustrating. I think it was just frustrating in the end. I didn't think we were too bad in the first half. I thought we were good value for our 1-0 lead. I thought we were moving the ball pretty well. We were getting into some decent areas. I just don't think it clicked in the final third. We just couldn't get that ball. We were getting into good areas out wide, and those crosses just, often didn't beat the first man, and we just weren't able to cut through and get that final ball that we need in, particularly to Kyogo. But even then, we had a couple of chances. McGregor has a shot from distance. It goes over the bar. Maeda a couple of chances at the back stick. We still were creating. And then McGregor with some lovely footwork from Hawada pots it. And shout out to Hawada. That looked fancy. Like that was a really good assist if you want to class it in that bracket. But I thought we were good value. And even the second half, I thought we started pretty brightly. It wasn't really until we actually gave away the goal that I thought the dynamic kind of shifted a bit. So, we won't go into the nitty gritty of it, but obviously we lose the ball. They go up the pitch. Taylor should have done a lot better, but also shouldn't have been on his own. Van Veen's a quality striker, scores. It was actually at that point I thought we started to lose our way a little bit. I didn't think the subs worked. I thought the subs and some of the changes really didn't help us. But overall, and Ange actually pointed to this in the post-match, I felt like we really kind of rushed things. We were trying to force something, make something happen instead of kind of sticking to our usual process and rhythm. And it definitely seemed like we were just kind of a little bit all over the shop trying to get that second goal. So, look, in the end, frustrating. It wasn't a loss, but it was disappointing not to take all three. And you're sort of sitting there going, oh, well, maybe champagne's on ice a little bit. But as you said, 24 hours, and all of a sudden, we dropped points and managed to extend our lead. You can't get too upset at that.
Better lucky than good sometimes. That's all I've got to say. But yeah, what I'll do, like Willie, I know you would have had your little say on the game last night on the Tuesday Crew pod. So if you want to just rehash or say anything you want to chuck in there, go for it. Otherwise, throw it over to Johnny.
No, mine's is pretty much what Shane says. We controlled possession. We didn't do anything with it in the final third when it was called for. So yeah, I'll just throw it over to Johnny now.
Yeah, look, I mean, much the same. It was one of those ones. I actually never managed to watch it live. I had to watch it back and stuff. And I was away and I was just a little getaway. And then I ended up Skyping the folks that weekend, and you can just tell. Sometimes when you speak to people for ages, I could just tell the way that my old man asked me, "Did you watch the game?" That it wasn't going to be a great result, and I was frustrated because. Obviously, I didn't want to know the score, but I knew the score just the way he asked me. Did you watch the game? So yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right, Jared. 24 hours, what a difference it makes. Because I think at the time I was a bit gutted, but obviously now other results have gone our way a lot. And it was one of those ones where, like, I went to go look at the score before watching the replay and stuff, and I'm looking at the stats. I'm thinking, that's not that bad and stuff. But then, 5 big chances apparently, and 5 big chances missed. I think that kind of screams Celtic's performance, to be honest. From the highlights again, just looks like we had our chances and stuff, and we were just that half a yard off. But frustrating, I think, for most. I think some have been calling it the worst Celtic performance, which I think is just emotions from the time, because I certainly don't think it was the worst. I think it was I think rushed is a really good way of saying it. I think it's probably just more end of season fatigue, and all teams have peaks and troughs and stuff, and this just happens that it's lined up. But I don't think it's the worst result. Look, we're acting like we lost, and we certainly didn't. We got a point away at the end of the day, and yeah, these things happen. So you just have to take on the chin and get on with it, to be honest. So not the worst result.
What I'll do is I'll bring up a comment here from Mahesh where he's saying Celtic looked tired in the pre-match, may have overtrained during the week. Who knows? But yeah, I've heard and seen a few people saying similar. They just guys that looked a bit leggy in pre-season, so not pre-season, in warm-up. So yeah, looked a little bit out of whack. But like at the end of the day, you guys have covered everything that I wanted to say. Other than that, I think we just lacked that little bit of polish and a bit of trying to come up with the word. It's like that little bit of just
zip
moxie sort of thing. Yeah, bit of like just. It looked like it was going to take one hard tackle or something like that, where it just would have fired the guys up and woke them out of the slumber and got them that focus and back into the swing of things. So it just didn't happen. So to me, that's what it looked like. It was just that spark missing from the game, where it was like we just needed something to happen to wake a few guys up, and then suddenly we'd become a lot more focused on what we're doing. So final comment on that, RL77 here. On another day, it would have been 3-1. And that's all there. So
yeah,
I think over the 3 shows this week so far, we've pretty much done that game to death. So let's leave it there. And that was a good little segue there, because talking about, death and everything, it's time for Zombie Watch. We just have to do that because of who we're playing on the weekend and the result that happened. So first things first, Barry Robson, CSC, what a hero. He's done really well at Aberdeen since he's gone there, and them getting the win did us a good favour. Liam Scales with his cross goal. I don't know exactly what it was. It looked like he was hitting the cross, but then at the same time, you get a reverse angle and it looks like there was no one there to cross it to. So was it a cross? Was it a shot? Who knows? Like, you see him at the time, everyone's like, "Oh, it was a cross. It was a cross." And then he goes after the game, "Oh no, it's it was a shot." And you're like, "No, it's a cross. It's a cross." When you get someone video from in the crowd, and it's like, "There's no one there."
Yeah.
So how's it cross? You're crossing it to what, a ghost, or you just saw someone in the crowd in a red shirt and thought, "I'll just hit it to them." Nah. I don't know if it was a shot or cross, whatever, but whatever it was, bloody good strike. I know Shane's been, getting all sorts of movement in his pantaloons about that goal in our group. So I've got to let Shane have his chat about it now. So over to you, mate.
He meant it. He meant it. Get behind him. He absolutely meant it. It was either a horrific cross or a wonderful strike. It's either you're either all in or all out, and I'm totally on the all-in bandwagon. No, good on him. He's performed pretty well at Aberdeen this season, Liam Scales. I actually rate him. I don't know if he has necessarily a chance at Celtic going forward, but he's done well out on loan at Aberdeen, and credit to him. And even particularly after they've obviously changed manager, they brought Robson in. He's looked pretty solid at the back there. So yeah, good on him. It seemed ironic to, or maybe not ironic is the right word, but it was just funny to me that they went and stuffed them up, and it was a former Celt in the dugout and an on loan Celt who scored a cracking goal to help do it. It was poetry.
How long have we been talking about on this pod, John? You'll know about loaning guys out to other top 4, top 6 teams in Scotland who aren't going to cut it with us, so they can hopefully take points off Rangers and get game time in the league we're playing in. And then there's your perfect example. Like, how long have we been talking about that for?
God, ages. And it seems that we're sort of potentially now, touch wood, but getting a bit of a trend, loaning them to the Dons and stuff, because obviously we did that with Christie and stuff, and that completely changed him. But also with Aya and all those type of players that have just came back and just been fantastic for us, and seems to be something similar with Scales. So it's definitely good to see. Look, I think you guys have definitely convinced me now. I'm on that. It was a deliberate shot. I think I'm on that bandwagon. So how can you not be? It's fellow Celt. So yeah, look, it was just good to see. I think there's a conversation to be had now, which is he's doing well at a team that's competitive in our league. Is he any better or worse than Barnaby? Right? That's really what we should be asking. So, but we all know Barnaby's got potential, but he can be very hit and miss. Is Scales more consistent? Is that something that we can look at as an option? I'm not sure how old he is, but is that maybe a better option as a backup for Taylor? Conversation.
My question off the back of that, Johnny, is what position is he first? Is he a left-sided centre back or is he a left back? That's the question that we need to figure out within the dynamic of our squad and how we expect to play before we look to figure out where he'd fit. Because
I think that's definitely a good question, but I mean, it suits Ange. He seems to like players that are a bit versatile. So we've got that in Hatate, we've got that in Iwata, we've got that in Starfelt, I guess, playing the left or the right and the centre. We've got that in most of our front 3. So he likes players to be able to switch up and stuff. So whether he is a completely pure left back or he's actually transitioning towards a left back, I guess that's just how I mean, he seems to be doing well from what I've seen. He seems to be doing better as a left back, but having that opportunity for him to play either or benefits Ange's system, surely.
On that, John, I'll look at it and go, all right, if we play him as a left centre back, he'd be the backup behind Starfelt, and then if Starfelt was to play right, so Kobayashi can play, then he'd be the third string left centre back, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put him and then at that spot there, who's he challenging for a game and a spot in the squad? Bosun Lawwell, Stephen Welsh. Welsh is better than him. Lawwell, dunno. So realistically, that's where he'd sit in the centre back rotation. You put him at left back, and what you're saying is right. He does look better and more comfortable as a left back at the moment. And we always talk about how small our left and right backs are, and we need a bit of size. We've spoken about that numerous times on the pod. So Scales playing in left back would be good because of his height, because he's 6 foot. We had to look him up early in the season. I thought he was a lot shorter than he is. However, and this is the point for me, left back going forward, the amount of running he's got to do in Ange's system, the pressing, all that, great, whatever. I'm not worrying about that. However, what my issue is how would he go as an inverted fullback? Because I have not seen him in that part of the field. He can play centre back, he can play left back, he can get up and down the wing, but can he duck in and hold and play that role and not be out of position and be struggling? Like, for me, that's where the question mark over him is.
Yep. Very good point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, I'd probably see him more as a left-sided centre-back, to be honest, or as where I think he fits best. And it seems to be where he's played most at Aberdeen as part of like a back three, particularly later in the season. And he's been solid. So, but yeah, he's 24. So, and we signed him on a 4-year deal. So this will be the second year of that 4 years. So it might be possible. I don't know whether they will or not, or whether they have the money to go in for him, but it might be that Aberdeen do go in for him and say, we want him on a permanent. I don't have him on an option, but they might go in and see if they can get him.
So we'll bring up some comments here. Mahesh is, before Scales left for Aberdeen, Scales' attacking data per 90 minutes was better than Taylor's. So that's at left back for you, Johnny.
Maybe that's just because Taylor's playing bad. But
Gone yourself is, if Scales didn't score that cross, there'd be no talk of him back at Celtic. Let's be honest. Come on, mate. It wasn't a cross.
Nah.
Full-blown shot.
I disagree with that. I reckon there would be talk with him because he's been a fairly consistent performer at Aberdeen throughout the season. I'm not saying that this hasn't helped, but when you get to the end of the season, I think people would be going, he's been solid in the Premiership. Is there a chance for him? So, I don't necessarily agree with that.
And to be fair, we literally talk about every lone player potentially having a spot. So it's going to happen, isn't it?
Michael Ross, I know Sheep fans say he hasn't been that good. Patrick McLaughlin, Scales would benefit from another season at Aberdeen. If we're going to have to do that, we'd have to extend his contract. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what it is. But we brought him up. We bigged him up because he's our player. But now we've got to get back to Zombie Watch. And I've got a tweet that we found, and it was from Rangers Radio, a bunch of phone-ins, and it's their mob reacting to this result. And the reason I want to play it is just sit back and laugh. It's just comedic gold. So it's the only reason it's getting any sort of oxygen on this podcast. So here we go.
Evening. That is absolute dog shit. Honestly, you can't be putting up with players like this. This is just, they've no heart, they've no thought for the Rangers support or anything. Absolutely disgraceful. 5 million. They're going to talking about Gabe Tillman. That doesn't turn up for any big game at all. No, that's it. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. The defending is absolutely honking. Davis, he's shot his boat, and I'll tell you, I'm seriously concerned about Bale. He looked like he was going to bust out into tears there halfway through that second half. This is not on. It's embarrassing. It really is. It makes me feel poorly. I'm shaking here. The rage, honestly, it's heartbreaking. This, it really is. I'm stunned with it, honestly.
Andy's spot on, Ox. I'm serious. I've said to you, and I know you don't like. We don't like slagging our own team. But I'm telling you, there's nobody can stand up for our manager today. Nobody whatsoever. And I'm worried. I'm seriously telling you, I know there's been a lot of money put on by Rangers fans that he wouldn't see next season. Well, I'll tell you, he's 90 minutes away from it, as far as I'm concerned. And I mean it.
There's a lot of surgery needs doing. I'm sitting there, I've now got doubts. I've now got doubts about the manager as well.
The whole thing from top to bottom just isn't good enough. And the buck stops to the manager, you see it time and time again. But I keep coming here and dissect this. How often do we change a manager? How often do we tear up the squad and start again? And meanwhile, that lot run away with treble after treble after treble, and are on the verge of doing it again. It's weird. I've said it all week, you heard me. We're in total disarray. But
all I have to say is this shit is absolute comedic gold. Inject that Hun tears right into my veins. It's just the best. Like, unbelievable. I piss myself laughing whenever I see it. I think it's on YouTube or as podcast. You can find it as well. But yeah, just some absolute magnificent stuff there. It's great. And I'm hoping for a lot more of it come Monday.
Shaking they are.
Shaking.
The pain is real, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is starting to dawn on them that the raison d'etre now is to stop us winning trebles every season. They're not.
I know, that's mental, isn't it?
They're starting to realise it now, aren't they? Like,
God.
And that was actually why I played it, because it's like just to hear them going, oh no, the penny's just dropping. It's just hilarious. Like, it's just great. Tear up the squad, eh?
Sunday morning, when I went to bed on Sunday, I woke up on Monday expecting Michael Beale to be sitting there bigging himself up how he'd closed the gap and his Rangers team had done well, beat Aberdeen and that, and then this is what you get instead. And it was just, it's a joy, isn't it? Like,
I can't help it. He makes people say I don't smile enough on the podcast. I should play these sound grabs every week.
I think most of the comments are spot on though. I think he is just about 90 minutes away from getting the boot. Because and you know, there's a real big contrast. Not to go away from the humour for a sec, but there is a real big contrast between the way he handles a poor result and the way Ange handles a poor result. You know, and you look at Ange and you look at how disappointed he is, but it's a group collective disappointment. No one's going under the bus. There's no blame on officials. It's simply we weren't good enough and we'll work to get better. Now, if you listen to him, it's a mishmash of we weren't good enough to it was the officials' fault to this player didn't do that to the ball boys didn't give the ball back quick enough to it's just not conducive to a good environment. I think everyone who's worked under someone who's a boss, you know, no one likes getting paid out. No one likes getting paid out, you know, by or you know, bad mouthed, you know, to everyone else. It's, you know, critique internally, you know, praise externally, right? It's just not very good. So, you know, Andrew's doing well for someone who they said wouldn't last until Christmas. He's about to see off his third Rangers manager.
Halloween it was.
Not just that, Shane. Who's he seen off in the this season alone, right? Or, okay, you got Gerrard's out of it, but Gio's gone. Beale's up in the shit. What's it called? Their sporting director's gone. Ross Wilson's gone.
Robertson,
the chairman's gone, and now Robertson's out the door. There you go. He's tearing them apart brick by brick. It's hilarious.
They got a lot of lawsuits, and they're losing a lot of money as well.
Yeah, I know. Sydney Super Cup people have got them in court down here now, so they got lawsuits both sides of the world. It's just hilarious.
They're going to hate Australia by the end of this.
And then they're just, you know, ripping up all sorts of confetti as shares again. And I don't know if you saw, because I saw it on the Axom chat. I'll just bring it up as well because it's hilarious. Another thing that ties into this, there was a tweet by David Lowe. Okay, Ranger RIFC PLC shares can now be traded on AssetMatch.com platform. This was organised by shareholders and not the club. The market will now set the price of shares and not the club. So now they're in the shit again, not just in terms of, you know, making more shares to pay off debt. Now they're in all sorts of trouble.
They can't control their share prices.
So we'll bring up a couple of funny ones here. Kaiser, always cheated, never defeated. Pete is, if we pump them at Hampden or Ibrox, Beale will be history. Edward, King Ange, Hunslayer, Angelo Tyro, Ange out by Christmas 2027.
I hope not.
Yeah, no.
Stay forever.
Well, keep it longer. But something you said there, Shane, about the way that, Beale carries on, he seems like a combination of couple of former Rangers managers. Pedro used to just be like, it was the ball boys, it was this, it was that, it was that. He was always blaming someone externally,
Caravans.
right?
Yeah, caravans.
From a hedge in the middle of nowhere. Like.
And then you can tell Beale was part of Gerrard's coaching staff because it's never his fault. It's always, the players weren't good enough. He's always throwing the players under the bus. So the way he's tackling it, it's kind of part Pedro, part Stevie G, and not the good parts, if there are any. So it's pretty funny, to be honest with you.
Not without going on about it, but this was pointed out in that Sky overlap thing that they said that, and this McCoist agrees that he came in very naively. And a lot of the chat he was saying early on about Ange's being lucky and all of that stuff was probably a really stupid thing to say because now he's got egg in his face, right? So he definitely splashes not really having big appointments. Like even though it's the tribute act, it's still a big appointment, right? So there are a lot of silly mistakes and just bad results. I think maybe 90 minutes harsh, but he's not far off it. But if we win a treble, it might be seriously thinking about booting him.
Here's a couple of comments for you as well. Bill Salkin is on par with Nelson.
Oh, wow. That has to be an awful lot to get up to Nelson's level. But yeah.
They're still under investigation from the financial play mob. That's for Europe. They're on a watch list.
Jeez, there you go.
And blame anyone that's not not their squad. Angelo Tyro, bloody Qantas worker. One for the Aussies, gotta love it. So what we'll do is we'll leave that topic there, but I'm sure there'll be plenty more to talk about for Zombie Watch next week. Gotta love it. In my soundboard just for them. Now, I want to give a shout out to Sean Hamilton on Twitter. He sent us a story through the Twitter account overnight. And he goes, "This will be a great topic for your podcast." So I agree, mate. Celtic Soccer Academy has a new partner club over here in Australia, the Brisbane Boys College. So it's just good to see that there's another tie-up over here. We had some coaches out here last week running some sessions at the college as well. So good to see another link up between Celtic and Australia. Johnny, you're in Brisbane. What's your thoughts?
Well, Brisbane Boys College is pretty prestigious. It's a very high up there private school here, and the private schooling system works a bit differently out here than it does back home and stuff. It's not, I guess, like we have comprehensives and stuff like here, but private tends to be, if you've got enough dosh, it tends to be the main avenue people take. Interestingly, it's a Presbyterian school, so raises eyebrows. But it's it seems to be. This is dead strange, and I'm sure you guys can talk about it more than I can, seeing that I've got very superficial knowledge of it. But so the soccer, football tends to be a sport that slightly more affluent families play or get their kids involved in, and that's down to like the fees involved to get your kids to play soccer here is like astronomical. You're talking like under 10s and it's 2-3 grand a year. It's pretty crazy just to sign one.
Pricing the lower class out,
exactly. Where it's like 10 quid, 20 quid to sign your kid up for the year back home and stuff. So it's pretty mad. So it makes sense that Celtic's like approached a private school that has a lot of money put into soccer and stuff. And like I say, Brisbane Boys is a very well-known one in Queensland. Tends to be, most of the kids I went to university with ended up coming from Brisbane Boys and stuff. So, because I like literally next to each other, the university and the school. So, it's good to see more of it. And Why not get some of the academy players to come out into the Sunshine State? Why not?
I've got the press release here. So Celtic Soccer Academy is delighted to announce that they have secured the signing of a new club partner from Queensland, Australia, Brisbane Boys College. The college has signed an agreement until 2026, enabling them to receive support from the Soccer Academy to help develop players, coaches, and club infrastructure over the next 3 years. These long-term partnerships involve a sharing of club methodologies, bloody tongue-tied there, through our coach education program, access to our coaching curriculum and coaching camps. It will also provide players and coaches with an opportunity to travel to Scotland and receive a behind-the-scenes look at how Celtic FC develops young players to reach their potential. Last week, 3 Celtic Soccer Academy coaches travelled to Brisbane and completed an advanced player development camp with players from the college. And we'll leave that point there. I won't go on to the rest of it, talking about the rest of the things. So, yeah, I think it's
I was just going to say that's a bloody shame they're doing it the other way and they're sending Australians to Scotland to have to stick that weather instead of Scottish boys to the sunniest state in Queensland in Australia. That's just a shame.
Send them down here, put them on loan or whatever. Some of the youth, this is for like the youth academy sort of thing, but there's a school down here in Melbourne as well doing the same thing. There's a couple of them. There's one in Sydney. Paul McStay used to be involved in it all, up in running it all out here as well. So it's good to see, but yeah, we'll get on with it. It's thanks Sean Hamilton again for sharing that story with us. Hadn't noticed that. So yeah, good fun. Now for the fun part of the podcast, if we haven't had fun already. It's time to talk about the fixture split. And got a few questions for you off the back of this. So the fixtures are released. Celtic are currently 1 win away from winning the title. I didn't realise it was that close. So realistically, what are we, 13 ahead? Win the next game. Even if they win it, then it stays at 13 with 12 to play for. We're champions. So we play Hearts away in the first game, Rangers away in the second game, St Mirren at home, Hibs away, Aberdeen at home on, Trophy Day? Is my memory right? Yeah, Flag Day starts the season. Trophy Day's last one. So all I'm going to say on the back of this is it's great that, we can potentially win the thing and then be going to Ibrox as champs. However, considering at Ibrox we get no tickets, at Hearts we get sweet FA tickets as well, it's going to be tough for our fans when you could add 60,000 fans at Celtic Park against St Mirren or Aberdeen watching us potentially win the title there, to have us, have to go play probably the 2 toughest ones for our fans over in Scotland to get tickets to go and see where we could win the title. To me, I think that bit sucks. We haven't had a chance to win a title at home since 2018. So, yeah, just that sucks on that front. But still, I don't mind it. You beat the mini Huns or the Huns for the title. Happy days. Willie, what's your take on the split? And
I think we should have had the St Mirren home game straight off the bat on the first round of fixtures. That would have been the best call. The SFA knew we could win the title this week. Well, the week the game's played, and they've chose to give us an away game at Hearts, which doesn't make sense to me. You get the reduced allocation of 1,600, and then you go the week after that, you go to Ibrox, and you've got 0 fans. So it's a 3-week wait. It's a 3-week wait for the next home game, and we could be potentially in a cup final and champions by that time. We knew we'd have 3 away games and 2 home games, but I think the SFA could have done a little bit more to say, right, okay, the title's yours. Here you go. Here's a home game there to sort of cement it for you. But do you expect anything less from them?
nope.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
We got some good comments coming through, which ties into our next topics. But yeah, we'll so what we'll do is quickly go around. When do we expect to clinch the title? So we'll go to you, Johnny. When do you think we're going to clinch it?
Well, I tell you what, I think my heart really does say that all the players will understand the gravity of the next league game and come out guns blazing. But let's not kid ourselves. Hearts away is a tough fixture, and Hearts will be doing everything they possibly can to not let us win. So there is no guarantees in this. Look, I think on our day we are miles and miles above Hearts, and we should just absolutely, destroy them. But it's not going to be. They're not going to make the event easy. And just Christ, for Celtic fans, and even if it's diminished numbers, to be celebrating winning the title at that bloody stadium, they'll not let their Hearts won't. The players won't let us. We'll try not to let that happen. So I think if we come out and we everybody plays well, even if it's the team that just played Motherwell, I think we should win, and we should win well. But there's also a bit of me that thinks that, wouldn't it be good just to win the title against them as well? That would just be a lot of salt in the wound. So yeah, look, let's. I still think it would be one beforehand, but I wouldn't be too upset if we took a draw and then took it to them the next game.
Shane, when are we going to seal it?
Yeah, we're sealing it at Tynecastle. I reckon we're winning it at Tynecastle. I agree with Johnny. They'll do everything they can to stop it, and they'll go in hard on us. I fully expect that. It's always a pretty competitive fixture against them away. But yeah, I think we wrap it up at Tynecastle.
Willie?
Yeah, Tynecastle win for me. We've got a quite a good record. It's as tough a venue as it is. We've got a good record there, so I fully expect us to win it. Arns isn't one for sitting back and just throwing out a few young players to experiment when he can. You know what I mean? He'll want to go out for the win. Yeah. There's a record to get, so you can still achieve that. So, and goals too, we can smash 100 goals barrier, positive goal difference. You know what I mean? 100 plus 100. Still all to play for, right? You know, I do expect it to be the one at Tynecastle. Yeah.
I think that's a very good point, Willie. I think even if we beat Hearts, I still think Ange is full throttle to the end because he will want to break records. Yeah.
Of course.
He said it himself when he came in, didn't he? He says like, we train for the end of the season as we do for the start of the season, or something to the words to that effect. But you know what I mean? So, yeah.
All right. So we win it at Tynecastle. We then go to Ibrox. 0 away fans. Will we get a guard of honour onto the pitch?
It's almost like, why are we asking this question?
Because I wanted to see your reaction, John.
Oh, you want us to answer it? Oh, okay.
Zero chance. Big fat zero. You got to be joking.
Even though Tab's tweets resurfaced from a little while ago about the Aloha one or whatever it was. Yeah, brilliant. Twitter. I think the gift that keeps on giving.
I'll give you an... sorry, Willie, you go ahead.
I think there's more chance of Michael Beale taking a vow of silence than those of getting a guard of honour.
There's more chance of their fans stop dating their sisters than,
That water nearly came out then.
I was doing my laptop up and smoke.
Almost got a shower. There we go.
I was going to give you a very Australian answer to this. I'd say there's 2 chances, Jared. Buckley's and none.
Yeah, exactly. So we had Eamon ask the same question there. Will the club clap us onto the field?
Yeah.
And then we've got Mahesh has gone, what's worse is Hearts have 2 weeks to plot and practice tactics. St Mirren had 2 weeks for their win against Celtic, so it need to come out of the box fast. There's a response to that from Pete. They've had almost 2 seasons to plot. How'd that work out for them?
Yeah.
Some of the banter in the comments is hilarious as well. We've got a nice little community going there, so it's good to see, guys. Strange Love, I see your comment. I would bring it up on the screen, but, YouTube and things like that. But, yeah, look in the live chat, everyone, if you want to see another good comment there. But so we go to Ibrox. Pete McGee has got this comment. Who's going to protect our players and staff at Ibrox if we go there as champions? Followed it up with, I wouldn't want to be taking corners or keeping goals at the Snake Pit. And then Kaiser is, I will pitch invade Ibrox, plant a flag in the centre circle when we beat them. Send me a flag. You want one of ours, do you? All right. Let's see what we can do.
I like that the hardest thing about that is getting the flag.
The hardest part's gonna be the buzzer in time. That's actually going to be the toughest part. But anyway, well, yeah. So off that comment, the original one about protecting the players and everything, that ties into my next question here, which is it's a bit of a doozy, bit of a silly one. We could be accused of potentially being put the address in the comments.
Put his address in the comments. Where it all happens. We'll get it express shipping, but it still takes a bloody week.
Yeah.
It's gotta leave Australia.
Say we win at Tynecastle. This is just taking the piss here. This is not being serious. But say if Celtic turned around because of all the history of glass bottles, batteries, coins, the physio getting split open, all that sort of stuff. If Celtic decided to turn around and go, yeah, you know what? We got no fans there. We've already won the title. You can have your 3-0 win, and we just forfeit the game and refuse to play. So would you support Celtic doing that as just a big up yours to Rangers and to force the SFA into doing something about their fans? Because for me, it's a player safety thing. And if we've got no real backup there and we've won the league, or if we draw against Hearts and we could win it there with a draw or a win, it's going to be so toxic. If we'd already won the league, would you actually, I'd find that'd be the ultimate banter years for me. Like, we won the league and we even gave you a forfeit and didn't want to come play at your lump of dirt. What do you reckon, Shane?
Yeah, no, I'd totally support it. And I think being serious for a minute, there's concerns for safety, and you're right. If we wrap up the title and we go there with no away fans, it is going to be toxic. And we've seen what's happened in the past. You worry a little bit of what could happen, and something needs to bring it to the fore so there's action. Now, if we were to forfeit that and they weren't able to broadcast this game on Sky, I think it is, there's going to be pressure from the broadcaster for not being able to deliver it. It has the potential to get some action potentially done, I guess is maybe how I describe it. So, yeah, I definitely support it on the grounds of player safety. I know we get pushed to the end and we got some records to try and catch, but player safety and staff safety has to be paramount. So I'd absolutely support it.
Johnny?
I think I said before in another pod a couple of weeks ago that I think the only way that this is ever going to resolve is something dead serious is going to happen, right? And I guess qualifying what dead serious means, I guess financially could be one, but it could also end in an injury, like a bad injury. I'm talking like days when coins were tossed and stuff, and then all of a sudden that was deeply socially unacceptable to chuck a coin and all that stuff. I always was, but it was like almost completely ended. So I get what we're saying, and my head being very, very rational here. Yeah, I would support something like that. I just can't in my heart say that I would want to ever give 3-0 to them ever. So I would like to believe that people are, any person, I don't care who you support, is decent enough not to want to injure another over something so really not that important that is football. So I would hope that it would just be all shouting and screaming and and that would be it, and then we can all go home and laugh at them. But if it did end with a player getting injured seriously, do we have the full ramification of everything, right? That's just, I think we all need to come together and just end that. But so SFA will be partly to blame here if something like that happens, and I guess Rangers will stop acting like a baby, and I guess if we did give them a 3-0 and said, well, we're not coming to your stadium, I guess that would wake them up a bit. So yeah, it's between my heart and my head. So I can see the rationale behind it, but I'm not giving them anything.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way. Like, I just want to do a big up yours to them, but at the same time, it's I just want to beat them every time we get a chance to.
Yeah.
Sorry to you, Willie.
Yeah, there is grounds for the argument for it, but if the SFA were going to act, the chances are if we forfeit the game, they would try and find some rule in the rule book that would allow them to give us a 15-point deduction and award the title to Rangers for doing it. You can see that happening a mile off. But for me, if we turn them over at Hampden, if we win at Hampden, that stadium's going to be half empty. They're not going to be really looking forward to a game at Ibrox when we can potentially go out there and go undefeated against them for the whole season. So I don't know. It's a concern, though. There is major concerns over the safety at Ibrox. I mean, you've had guys who came onto the pitch and tried to attack Scott Brown, and they were just ushered back to their seat. There wasn't a case of you're going out in the paddy wagon. They were just taken back to their seat and sat down again.
The same game, Willie, as well from a similar bay. There was 2 minutes before the guy ran on to confront Scott Brown. There was a guy a couple of bays over doing monkey signs and at Scott Sinclair. They're just a feral bunch. It's the same game.
Yeah. But if the result goes our way this weekend, I would like to go and play them at Ibrox. Just complete that undefeated season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to bring up a few comments here just because I want to see the comedy kicking off here. But going to yourself, wow, they would lose so much money from that game.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to refund a bunch of people. Strange Love the Doctor, totally get it right up a minute, screws Sky on an international stage. Pete, I've been saying it for a while. Any missiles on the pitch, we should walk off and forfeit the points. Lets the world know about them for once. If we do that, they might think about changing the no away fans rule, so we just walk off. And then also, if we do just give them the 3 points, then we can just say, hey, we even gifted you 3 points and beat you.
That's true as well.
And then we've got Angelo's like, I'd like to watch Kyogo tell them stuff you and walk off. That'd be priceless.
Yeah. Is there a potential?
He's so polite, he'd probably still do a little bow on his way.
Is there a potential that perhaps even mulling over or mooting the action of doing that could force their hand to actually up safety measures before the game comes around?
Oh, they've got no money to do that, Shane.
Yeah, I don't like. I just don't see them. I don't see SFA ever doing anything to protect players. What, we're going to have those big Perspirix screens like they have in ice hockey? It's just there's nothing they can do. Do you know what I mean? It's a whole stadium. So yeah,
it is really concerning. I mean, you were obviously talking about the Scott Brown incident, but even from last year's game at Ibrox, the one that Rogic and Carter Vickers scored, when Carter Vickers there's this unique angle of when Carter Vickers, after he scores, goes over to celebrate with Rogic. You actually see a guy in the crowd basically start to come out of his seat to go towards the pitch, and it's actually a fellow supporter that grabs him in a bear hug and says, no, don't do it. But if that guy doesn't have a social conscience, he gets onto the pitch. There was no security there actually holding him back, or there was no one within earshot. He was going to storm the pitch. And to actually see that and see how close he got without the quick thinking fan, you can't help but get frightened about what could happen.
Yeah. Like I said, if the SFA doesn't grow up, then it's going to end in something really serious.
Yep, 100%. And just the only reason I brought that up, right, is I don't want to forfeit the game. Okay, I'm just going to put that on the record. Don't want to forfeit the game. I want to go and beat them every chance we get. But it's a player safety thing. It's a Celtic safety thing and I'm sick of us being lumped in with them, if that makes sense. It's two sides of the same coin sort of thing. That's part of why I brought it up. But then the other part is, say if we went to the game, stuff was thrown and we just walked off, right? Then that suddenly means that the SFA has to do something about it, and a report can be raised to UEFA about the unsafe conditions. So now UEFA will have them on a watch list for finances, and also have that they'll have to look into if the SFA does nothing. So that's the reason I brought it up, because not only can will that allow them to actually give us an away support again and put an end to that. That's why I'm bringing these up, because it's just different ways we can work through that scenario, because I'm looking forward to Sunday's game in a way where it's a 50-50 split at Hampden. The derby has lost something since there's been no away fans. I don't want them in our stadium so much, but it doesn't seem the same.
I agree.
Yep, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
It's a spectator sport at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's very much about the energy of the spectators and as well as the players. So it was cracking when it was like, what was it, 8,000 or something? I can't remember how many it was, away fans.
Yeah, it was about 8,000.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Get it back to that.
I'm going to bring
They
up a
picked the
comment.
ball up. They picked the ball up and ran home, didn't they? Don't want to play.
That's exactly. Yeah,
it's up to them. We can't play until they bring that ball back out. You know what I mean? So.
Yep, totally agree.
I'm going to bring up a comment from Michael Ross because it ties into this as well. Was in Holland they have a rule that if anything is thrown on the pitch during the game is stopped. A recent second-tier derby was abandoned after fans continued to throw stuff. So what they did was, if things were thrown on the pitch at players, it gets stopped for 15 minutes or something like that. The field gets cleared, then they come back on. If it happens a second time, the game's done and the home team loses because it's their fans, usually.
Oh, no, that's too sensible to be introduced into Scottish football.
So that's what they did. However, it's even trickier, that one, because if something gets thrown at the referees or the linesman, bang, auto forfeit or game's delayed. I don't know if it's a forfeit or game's delayed till later in the season, and then they get a massive fixture pile up, and then too bad, sort out your fans. So basically what happened in this derby was a linesman was standing there and a plastic beer cup was thrown and hit him in the foot. So I was like, all right, off we go. And everyone's walked off, even the players. No upsets at all. Just too logical.
Go. Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
All right.
It just to finish on that topic though, like we're obviously talking about the reduced allocations for away support and so forth. And Willie mentioned it. They grabbed the ball and took it home. You know, they got tired of us having so many fans in Ibrox and celebrating. Wouldn't it be funny that, like, if we still turn them over easily with no fans in there? You know, how's that going for you?
Anyway.
Oh, that would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean? As we approach the final 10 minutes, there's 4 fans left here in Ibrox to watch Celtic.
They don't do walking away. Yeah.
And the only reason they're still there, Willie, is because they're lining up at the toilets to get a drink, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So, last thing I want to talk about before we jump into the weekend's game a bit further. If we do a treble this season, we're only 1 trophy behind the historical total of both Rangers and Sevco combined. Is beating that and getting ahead of that, is that important to us as Celtic fans or not? For me, I don't really give 2 shits about it, but I would like to put that whole thing to the side, get ahead of them, and then never have to hear about 55 or world's most successful club, even though you're not, because there's teams in Egypt and Middle East who have got more trophies than you. But, you know, it's just, I won't have to hear about this stuff again. So for me, I don't really care about it, but I wouldn't mind getting past it just to shut them up. What do you think, Willie?
Well, is it 1 trophy behind or 1 trophy ahead? Because they've only won 2 trophies as Rangers, the Sevco time, haven't they? Like, so.
I'm saying combined.
But it would be nice to just shut them up. Like, you're not the most successful team in Scotland anymore. You never were the most successful team in the world, were you? Like, that's our valley. But then we could obviously go out and use it a bit of banter. That's us. We're the most successful team in the universe. So yeah. It would be good, right? I think.
A new hashtag, Willie. Instead of 1 club since 1888, it could be most successful club. Hashtag most successful club in Scotland.
Yeah, that's it. Right.
Yeah.
Shane, anything?
Yeah, much the same as you, mate. It nice to have it or take it away if you want to put it that way, but not really too fussed either.
Yeah.
Before we go to you, John, you got to bring up Pete's comment. If we do that, should ask Adidas to produce a new strip with 56 green hoops.
Yeah. That'd be quite good, actually. I'd be pumped about that. Look, I definitely can't lie. I have from time to time gone on and seen how many trophies Celtic has and compared them to the other team, the old one and the new one and stuff. But I get the point that, like, I think as a community, we don't really care. It's not really a massive deal. I'm definitely more bothered by recent trophies than, like, ones that a former team won in World War II where there wasn't any other bloody football players to play against and all that stuff. Like, yeah. So I guess I care a little bit, but I guess as a community, I don't think we care.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. It'd be good just to shut them up more than anything, and then
I
onwards
totally
and
agree with
upwards, we kick on, which is what we do. So happy days. So it's time to get into the fun stuff. There's a comment early on that I've been keeping from Gone Yourself. Atade, Jota, and Abada all training this week, and if all goes well, available. Only player not available for semi so far is Forrest, and says on Celtic TV interview. So I look at this one of two ways, and I want to get your feel for this. Okay? Ange isn't normally so forthcoming when it comes to injury information. So my question is Ange at the wind-up? Is he trying to play mind games trying to just say everyone's available to confuse Beale, because that wouldn't be hard to do? Or is he actually just was he playing reverse psychology here and tell him the truth, because everyone knows he doesn't normally say what's actually happening, so they'll be like, nah, that's not true, and just, lull him into a false sense of security. What do you boys think it is? We'll go to you, Willie.
I think it could be mind games. I think it could be the reverse psychology thing, because Abada did. We've seen doing the warm down after the Motherwell game, so I think there could be some truth in it. But it's, as you say, it's not going to take much to confuse Michael Beale. If you wanted to play mind games, you just say, I saw Willie Collins in the chapel just down from Parkhead. That would really get him going.
He's already going to be G'd up for that Willie column, because he's been appointed as ref. I've got that in the next one when we're talking about the actual game a bit further, where that was the next topic to bring up, was that Willie Collins is the ref. Are we all surprised by that after what happened in the last game? So Willie's just merged two together. Brilliant work. But what are you thinking, Shane?
I don't know where to land on it. You're right. He's not usually as forthcoming. He's usually quite guarded when giving out this information. So for him to be so direct, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to out-Beale Mr. Beale. I don't know. I think there might be a little bit of truth to it. It could also be a focus point, and it's very Ange-like, but a lot of chatter came out from the weekend about the midfield dynamic and Haksabanovic not working on the right. So it could be some way a response to that. I don't know. I think there's some truth to it, but I also think there's a little bit of mayo going on with it as well underneath.
Yeah, it is. Kaiser's got the best summary of the lot. Ange plays chess, the others play checkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, I think Ange doesn't play many games, but I think if we just look at the precedents and stuff, and like I say, he doesn't really talk about this stuff, and then all of a sudden, before a pretty crucial game, he's given this sort of detail away. Yeah, I think he's been in the game way too long not to be able to, do these little things and understand how important. Yeah, exactly.
He loves this sort of stuff.
He knows exactly what's going to happen, and he's timed it perfectly. So yeah. That's that, and look, maybe they are all fit, but he didn't have to give that away, and he normally doesn't. So, I think he knows what he's doing.
So we've got some comments here. Angelo, is McCarthy in?
Yeah, first on the team sheet.
Pete's like, Ange is just clouding the issue before the semi-final. No way I can see Hatade, Jota, and Abada featuring. Then with Michael Ross, Bill will not know what to think. Strange Love. What if none of them were injured in the first place? Mind blown. Just giving them a little rest. RL77. They're all playing and we'll all be wearing Calmac masks. Martin, Ange is playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
And then Angelo was Ange playing cards close to his chest about whether Gavin Strachan is over the flu.
How's his laptop, yeah.
Can Harry Kuehl suit up?
Yeah.
And then Kaiser making them double guess their setup in training.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's just absolutely. He's at the wind up. He's got to be one way or the other. He's either at the wind up or he's playing reverse psychology. He's just trying to confuse the issue, and it's just great to see. So, Willie, you mentioned it earlier. Your mate Willie Collum was ref. Are we surprised that he got this gig after what happened last time? Jane looks like he wants to.
He was due. He was next in line to do the Glasgow derby, but I just hope he doesn't turn it into the Willie Collum show, as he is prone to do. You know what I mean?
Makes things up.
Yeah, I mean, there was that time he gave the penalty against Daniel Majstorovic, and he's looking that way, and the foul happened over there. It's just like, Willie Collum, come on. Man. So I just hope he doesn't turn it into the Willie Collum show, and he has one of his better games, if he's such a thing for Willie Collum.
Shane?
Oh, yeah, not really surprised. I think we knew someone in particular who wasn't going to get the gig, unfortunately. But not really surprised. And there's a few interesting names for fourth official and VAR official as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. I think Willie summed it up. Before
you say anything, John, I'm going to just channel those blokes from Rangers Radio we listened to earlier. How dare you put the Catholic on? Anyway, Johnny.
That was a spitting Scottish accent, Jared. Absolutely nailed it.
I don't even know what that was. It was like a tongue-tied version of Shrek or something.
Yeah. No, I'm not really surprised. I don't really like it. They're all the same. The refs. I don't even think they're that biased. I just think they're incompetent. Personally, and I know we've had this debate for a long time about incompetence is a screen for their bias and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm never really shocked by the who gets appointed. They're all shit.
Yep. Pete McGee, Ange Masterstreet would have played a women's team at Ibrox.
Yeah, I wouldn't subject our women to.
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about?
All right, so expected starting lineup. Willie, we'll go to you. Give us your back line. Shane can do the midfield, can do the front three. There you go. And I'll go goalkeeper. Joe Hart, sorted. Willie, next.
Quite an easy one. Johnson, CCV, Starfelt, Taylor.
Yeah.
Shane's got the struggle spot. Our midfield was pretty average last time.
I'm sticking with the same midfield three. I'm sticking with O'Reilly, McGregor, and Iwata.
Johnny, who's up front?
Shall I risk it for a biscuit? I'm going to say Jota, Kyogo, and Maeda.
Nice.
That's the exact 11 I've got written down here.
Yeah, well, there you go. Great minds. So, yeah.
This is why we're all on the pot noodle, boys.
That's it.
All right. So we'll I'd say any matchups to watch out for. We always end up saying, I always say the same thing when we're playing them. It's about our wingers versus their Tab and Barisic. That's the issue there. And then in the middle of the park, they're the key things. So we won't even touch on that. Who's going to be the first player booked? Johnny?
All right, it's not going to be a Sevco player. I can tell that for nothing. I will probably say Johnson, and I think that's because he's definitely got that sort of egginess in him. And I think after the last game we played against them, and he was just gave them a lot of trouble. I think there'd be a bit of a spotlight on him. So I'd imagine him getting booked first. That's my guess.
Yep. Shane, what are you thinking?
I reckon Johnny's right. I think it's going to be one of the fullbacks. I'm going to go Taylor. I reckon Taylor might get a booking.
Really?
I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to say it will be Matt O'Reilly, and Willie Collum will just pick on him to just throw a yellow card, and when he's starting to lose control of the game, he's just going to I'm going to book the next person to foul. It'll be Matt O'Reilly will be the unlucky one. So just a bit of left field there.
Just for fun, El Buffalo Morelos, just because he's just petulant hack. I'm just going to throw it in. He'll probably kick someone.
The cup final. The cup final. Do you remember who the first player was booked?
No.
Lundstrom. So it was a Sevco player.
Was it?
Yeah. And do you know what?
Lundstrom. Yeah.
He's a bit of I would say a hard nut, but he's definitely he can kick a player. So
he's a wannabe Scott Brown, isn't he?
Yeah,
he'll be in. He'll be in since Jack's injured. So yeah.
Let's comment here, Martin. Who? Okay, so next one to go, and I'm going to bring it up here because, Eamon, you got it spot on. Pick the time of the VAR penalty. So the next one I had was, what minute will the Rangers penalty happen? I'm going to say in the 32nd minute. But we'll already be 2 up by then.
Yeah.
63. 63 for me.
I reckon we're all guessing in the right type of the right area of the game. Yeah, that second 30. 42 minutes.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say it won't happen.
Oh, there we go.
Kaiser's saying 55th minute because it's the staunchest. And David is like penalty bingo. There we go. Let's see if we can get it. All right, first scorer. I said we'll be 2 up before they get their penalty, so I'm going. It's going to be Kyogo first scorer. Willie?
Yeah, Kyogo for me.
Maeda for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll be different. I'll say McGregor because I've just been noticing that he's been taking a few longer shots from outside the box. So maybe we'll go McGregor again.
Nice. We've got Chris D saying Moy, Martin saying Jota, RL77 talking about their penalty in the 16th minute and 90 seconds. So that obviously means 17 minutes 30 on the clock. But there you go. We figured it all out. Shane, Dermot, Celtic, Riverdo. No penalty. That's some crazy talk.
It didn't happen last time.
And the final score, what's it going to be, Willie?
3-1.
Shane?
3-0.
Johnny?
I think both teams are playing a bit shite at the moment. So I think it's going to be tight. I'm going to say 2-1, but we're going to go 2-0 up. And they're going to score a late goal. And it's going to be squeaky bum time and give me a heart attack for 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, this is where I'm calling it, Shane. 10-1.
Geez, you really don't want anyone to beat Ibrox, do you? In a couple of weeks' time.
Being serious though, probably 4-2 is my guess.
Okay, yeah, that's
a serious one. Kaiser 6-1, Gone Yourself 3-1, Michael Ross 2-1, Chris D 5-0, Pete 4-0. So he's bringing up. They're more shite than us. Yep, I have to agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone's backing Joe Hart to save a penalty. That's all I'm saying.
Notoriously shit for doing it, but yeah, okay. That's a decent bet, yeah.
All right. So, before we wrap up the pod, I just want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in and getting involved in the comments section. It's been great seeing the banter amongst you all, seeing the community grow and help support the channel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Celtic Down Under podcast, both on our YouTube channel and via your podcast app. Tell a friend about the podcast, refer them, tell them to tune in, join the community, join the conversation. We just want to keep growing. We're about 5 subscribers off 1,500 subscribers, which is the next target for us. So let's get there before kickoff on Sunday. And we've got our Facebook group and page, Instagram and Twitter at Celtic Down. You can find our YouTube channel where most is already are anyway. Merch, we've got flags available. Admin at CelticDownUnder.com. Send us an email if you want one. And last thing I want to do, we all pretty much did our final thoughts at the start, so we won't really bother. I just want to bring up a picture that was sent to us from David Murphy at the weekend, out the front of Paradise with the flag. What a legend. Hail, mate. Thanks for sending the picture to us. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the game. Hope everyone here's enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you next week after another victory. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Hail, hail.